Welcome to Insurance Technology Amplified, the podcast where we explore how innovation is transforming the insurance industry. This is the place where technology and expertise come together to empower agents, carriers, and the industry alike. Thank you for tuning in. Now, let's get to the show.
Go for it.
Am I kicking this off?
Yeah, I thought you were. This was
This is your
this is
podcast.
I completely did not pick up on that.
I'm going to clip that and post it, okay?
By the way, so is this being recorded? Yeah, it is. Dude, go for it. I think that's the funniest thing ever. So, just to show you, I guess, how organic it is, here we are, clueless, a couple of smart guys in insurance talking about AI. There's no agenda here. There's no premeditated approach or perspective we want to come to. And Bradley, we've been working with you for a long time. And here's something I think about quite a lot. You know, when they talk about they, or Brad, I'm sure this happens all the time. Like you go to a place, you go to a show, and everybody's talking about AI. And like there's this like undertone whatever in the industry whenever it comes to technology. It's like, oh, insurtech is not a real thing. There's this like instinctual resistance to really recognizing that change is here, change is happening. And I hate this stereotype because like there are a percentage of agencies that are very cutting edge and forward thinking and embrace technology. But like, what is it where the undertone, the narrative is so negative? And when you take something that to me is unimpeachable as the concept that AI is here to stay and AI is going to impact this industry and AI is going to impact what we do. Do you like still feel that narrative? Do you still feel that's the case? Or do you feel like this is different? Do you feel like, you know, everybody's gut reaction was to like kind of trash it in the beginning because, you know, they don't understand it and they don't understand how it works per se. But like, I think anybody who dismisses this or ignores this or poo-poos this will be at their peril. Do you encounter that? Do you experience that? Like, what do you attribute it to? Or am I just crazy? Like, because I think about it, like when I want to get up on stage almost and say, like, guys, you know, I know everybody's gonna. If I want to get up and talk about AI, everybody's gonna like, you know, shit on it and say, like, oh, is it real? What's the impact? Like, and we're seeing it. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I think you have a couple of things going on. One, there have been, you know, the insurtech revolution of 2018, 2019, I think burned a lot of people. Not that insurtech isn't here to stay and it didn't make an impact. I think it made a huge impact, but I don't think it made as big of an impact as people maybe expected it to. So I think when you have people that, you know, eventually somebody can lie to you so many times you don't trust them, right? But at the same time, the AI thing, it's happening, right? And I think I'm actually giving a keynote next week in Arkansas to a group of agents about AI, which I'm sure is going to be challenging. And the very first slide after my intro is, let's stop calling it AI and just start calling it the current state of the internet, right? Like it's not, you know, everybody's added .ai to their domain. What was it? Allbirds, the shoe company, pivoted.
Yes.
Company, and their stock rose like 600%.
Insane.
Right? Like, even though there's definitely a level of bullshit to that, it's here and it's not going anywhere. I also think that you have people. So in insurance, I'll tell you a story. So I have a buddy who, and this is my thesis as to why the insurance industry is slow to adopt, right? There's a book that's a great book that I've recommended on like 100 podcasts called Better and Faster. And what it talks about is spotting trends in industries that are ahead of your industry or watching trends, and you can predict what's going to happen in your industry. The insurance industry is the perfect industry for that example, right? And I mean, in fact, I've invested in some startups in the insurance industry that I know have worked in other industries. And in insurance, it's very easy to make money. Okay. So a buddy of mine was buying an agency not too far from here. And he was like, "Can I run the numbers by you?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." He's okay. The agency's 30 years old. They're $280,000 in revenue. So by all accounts on the surface, that agency has failed, right? Or had something catastrophic happen, right? So I said, "Okay, what's the EBITDA?" He said $230,000. I'm like, "No, that can't be right." He's like, "No." He's like, "This guy has a cell phone, an agency management system, and a $500 a month office. And that's it." And I'm like, this dude crushed it. Like, he's living in a low cost of living area and he's making $230,000 a year. But I think that's a part of the greater narrative, in that industries or people or companies that tend to make a lot of money pretty easily, and you sell a product that is basically mandated that you should buy it, it's like, why change, right? And I think that in some ways you have to have the attitude of not getting romantic about the way that you've always done it. And that's how you innovate, right? And I think that's why a lot of the agency management systems out there, a lot of the legacy tech is not fast to innovate, because their customers aren't necessarily complaining about it, because their customers don't know anything different, right? And it's very easy to adopt the narrative of, oh, well, that's not going to impact insurance. But we see less agencies operating with file cabinets now than we did 5 years ago, right? Whether it makes an impact or not, or whether you think it's going to make an impact or not, it is. And I think what happens when technology enters a space at a grand scale, the A and B players adapt and the C and B players don't. And I don't think that necessarily means there's going to be, the C and D players are going to disappear. There's just going to be less of them, right? And there's a ton of consolidation now in the agency world, and these C and D players are getting bought, and it's pitched as a win, when in reality, it's not. And I think a lot of people are scared to adapt because they're scared they might not be as good as they think they are. Like, I equate this to golf, right? I don't know if you guys play golf, but
Not
a lot of above average golfers, when they start a round of golf, they get like a couple under par in the first few holes, and they get scared, and then they almost either consciously or subconsciously self-sabotage to get back down to that number where they're comfortable. It's the same feeling as you're driving down the freeway and a police officer gets behind you. You know how to drive, but you all of a sudden you clench the steering wheel a little, you're looking in the rearview mirror, you're very aware. And I think too many insurance agency owners, too many business owners are scared to change, are scared to adapt, because it might expose weaknesses that they think they might have that they haven't addressed.
I'll go, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I'll go with the golf analogy, trying to put ourselves in a position where I'm like a 20 handicap on a good day now, but I could break 90 if like it all comes together for me. And a guy like that, I'm deadly in a tournament because, I'm allowed a certain amount of strokes, but if I break 90, like my team's getting whatever it is, 5, 6 extra strokes. So, let's take that here. If things line up and you're an agent and you put this together, you could be at a distinct advantage. And it's funny. I want to say that I'm embarrassed that like I made such an ass out of myself the first 60 seconds thinking I'm on your podcast while you're on mine. But listen, it's pure, it's honest, and it's fortuitous.
No
I'm
one
happy you're here.
understands you're not busy enough. Like
Yeah.
you're an insanely busy guy. Like you probably ran from another meeting to this one. Like no issues at all. It's
No,
hilarious.
it's more, it's like, I'm actually like, it's killing my ego. I thought I was like some big shot that I was invited onto your podcast. And now like
Well,
it's,
you do have an open invite. We just haven't lined it up.
yes, yeah, that'll be my excuse. That's what I thought it was. Um, so I want to approach this a little bit differently. And one of the reasons why Caden is here is because nobody gives a better demo of what we do and what we have than Caden. Caden is one of the parents and authors of like just all the awesomeness that we're putting out. And you know, Bradley, you and I have both been on a lot of talking head podcasts, and it's great. And people, you know, like to hear what we have to say. But I want to take this to another level, and I almost want to, Caden, you tell me if this is a good idea or not. And we're live, and but be honest. I want to do a hackathon with Bradley. Like we're very proud of the fact that you're a Momentum customer. You're an ambassador. You're, you know, a great advocate for who we are, what we do, and you're one of the first people that actually got visibility and access into insuranceragency.ai and what it is and what it's capable of. And with that perspective of you see a lot and you know a lot and you are a technologist and you are ahead of the curve. And now taking our platform, which is the tool and the instrument to help these agents. Kaden, you okay with that? You know, let's pull up Bradley's insuranceragency.ai or let's pull up a demo and let's start talking about problems in the industry and what could be done and how it works. We could talk about Momentum Claw, and I'd love to just talk about some like real world examples. And let's just start talking to the AI, and let's add the AI as a fourth participant in this conversation, and let's see how that shapes up and what that looks like. Because at the end of the day, that's what everybody wants to know and see is how is this going to change my work life. And I said this on the call, and I want to make one point. The day that I started using OpenClaw was a day, and I equated to like those videos on YouTube that you see if somebody puts on those glasses where they're colorblind and they could see color now for the first time. I am seeing what AI could do. And Brad, audience, please believe me, I have every subscription to Claude and Perplexity and ChatGPT, and I'm trying every single one of them, and N8N and Zapier, and trying to connect it all together. And I saw the theoretically part of it, but I'm not a coder. I don't know Python. I don't know, how to, do anything with a JavaScript file. I am coding right now. I am building product. I have created, and I know that I have access to the world's smartest subject matter expert on every bloody thing imaginable. And I'm leveraging it in OpenClaw. Momentum has made that available to our insuranceragency.ai agents. And you now have the smartest brain alive on anything you're trying to do at your agency. And we just want to make it available. And one last point that I'll make is that I think what we're bringing to the table, it's not just about like what's the tech du jour, but I feel like a big part of what we're doing is we're protecting agents from the concept of tech du jour. Because the only thing that I'm willing to guarantee about AI is that whatever is working hot in vogue today is not going to be in a year from now. There's going to be something new. And I don't think the agents want to be put in a position where like they have to like keep exporting their GPT database to Claude and then from Claude to OpenClaw. And then what's next? Like we're handling that. We're handling the storage. We're handling the architecture. And we have this crowd and community that, Bradley, if you build something and you give us permission, we'll publish it. And that all for one for all thing is really taking place. But Caden, did you like my idea? You want to pull it open and just talk out what Bradley finds interesting?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, pretty on the spot. So this is probably going to show how good or bad I'm at giving out demos when they're on the spot. But let's go ahead. I love it.
It's one of those things while he pulls that up, so that presentation I'm giving in Arkansas, right? A month ago, so Claude really became everybody's preferred thing like a month and a half ago. Well, a month ago, they called me about doing this presentation, and they were like, "Hey, we need an outline because we're going to get this approved for CE." And I said, "Well, how soon do you need it? Because if I would have given it to you 2 weeks ago, it'd be irrelevant.
Right.
Like, I need,
100%.
what's the latest point I can send this? Because whatever I send you, it's going to be different by the time I get there. You know what I mean? And in fact, I'm putting it together today because everything's moving so fast. And really, if I could just say something about insuranceagency.ai, it's like the management system, at least in the time that I've been in the industry, management systems were viewed more as like a repository, like a digital file cabinet, so to speak. And I think what you guys have done with this is turned it from a digital file cabinet to something that actively runs your business, prompted and unprompted. And the unprompted is the key, right? It's something that's proactive, not reactive, which I love.
We're trying, and being a solution to insurance agencies means you have to do a lot of things, right? You have to provide the tech, you have to provide the data. Now, you and I both know that most agencies do not have a real true source of truth for all their data because they use 13, 14 different systems, and the data does live in 14 different systems. And I could wax philosophical about this, forever, but we talk about the three fundamental things that we offer that allow anything to be possible. And I was being like a bit of a wise ass, but on the webinar the other day, somebody started saying, "Can insurance agents AI do?" And I stopped him. I said, "Before you ask me what it is, I could tell you the answer is yes." I really do believe it. And I think if it pertains to technology, there is nothing that insuranceagency.ai can't do because of the fact that we're not just dependent on APIs anymore. Like these things now are virtual web browsers that could literally go be like a human who is the best data entry person in the world, and you clone them times 100,000 and have them go to any site, pull the data. So I guess one thing I want to talk about that for a minute. Bradley, we've done this. I think you've seen the demo.
If your differentiating factor is your walled garden and you only let the people in that kiss the rings, you are going to lose. And I think what happened, and this is not me kissing you guys' ass because you're on here, what happened when you guys launched this is you put every other agency management system on notice, like, hey, this is the narrative change. Because now I'm not privy to, oh, you only integrate with this partner. Like this whole AI thing has opened this up tremendously, sort of like how when COVID happened. So before COVID, I started my agency a year before COVID. Insurance carriers, before they appointed me, a lot of them had to come to my office and inspect it. And oh, by the way, you couldn't have any remote employees. COVID blew that wide open because the insurance companies made so much money during COVID. They're like, wait a minute, these people are working from home and they're more productive. Like, that's what's going to happen with this. We're going to realize, like, wait a minute, I don't have to be on this system's preferred vendor partner. I can make more money doing this, and I can connect two tools together without the two even knowing about it.
It's amazing. I mean, we talk about it, and it's one of the things, I suck at a lot of stuff, and I've been wrong a lot. But Kaden and I, we're talking about the planning of what we're up to, and Peter and I, like we've seen videos that we broadcast 3-4 years ago, talking about everybody's now showing like the Obsidian, not relational database. Like I have a video presenting this relational database knowledge graph going back to 2020. 21. And we saw how the dots are going to connect. Everything's going to converge. I didn't envision AI. I didn't, knowing what it's going to be and how it's going to impact everything. But AI is this phenomenon that happened that allows us to take all the foundational elements that we have, and now like they've all come together and they work. So the fact that we can map your data to ours and we can speak the same language even though our data headers are different, the fact that we can store all your data in one place, and Bradley, to your point, the fact that two companies that never work together, if they both are integrated with Momentum, they could be built into an instant workflow without any contract, no NDA, no compliance check, just like you could on Apple. And it's those three things that we've been talking about for years. And AI, like trying to give a good analogy of somebody that like kind of had something going for a while, and they had just a piece of real estate set up for years, and all of a sudden, Amazon opens up a hub and they have all this infrastructure and like they're ready to go because like they've just been preparing for something for a long time. She could help me think of a good example, but we've had these pipes like kind of sitting here waiting to go, and AI has empowered us to bring it all together. But do you think that, and I want to be very particular, I don't want to mention names, but Bradley, remember the old Mac versus PC commercials with Justin Long, where like he could go out and shit on the PC market because he could just talk about PCs and doesn't have to mention anyone by name? Like we do have that luxury of saying, I think the legacy AMS providers, especially the ones that are trying to protect, like you said, their moat by locking people out, I think that is a losing proposition. But do you think they're going to try? Because I could program OpenClaw tomorrow to go in and just go into any web-based, you could try to block it and think there's going to be a cat and a mouse game. Or do you think customers are going to win and just say, dude, AMS system, I want my data, and you can't tell me that my agents and digital agents can't log into it? Like, how do you see that playing out?
The optimistic side of me hopes that they do. But if I'm a betting man, I'm betting on there's meetings going on right now on how do we stop OpenClaw from coming into our system.
100%.
I mean, you go by history, right? Do I think there's going to be a facade that, we are adapting? 100%, right? They're going to get on stages at the conference and announce their new AI tool, but I'm inclined to believe that a lot of that is either just lip service and nothing ever happens, and or, oh yeah, we're going to have AI, and it's just like search, right?
Right.
I don't, especially from a PE-backed group, I don't see that happening. And especially when you talk about big companies, man, there's so much red tape to go through. And at least my perception of it is like the ability for a big company to take less revenue today to prep for the future doesn't happen. Whereas like folks like you guys and me and some of the more scrappy startups, it's like, hey, we're willing to not make money today because we're betting on that we're going to be right 3 years from now. You know what I mean?
And that's the main part, Bradley. I mean, the fact that you just hit the nail on the head. It's the money they make in the wall of garden they've created. I mean, we saw it with the open API. If they take that down, if they truly go open like we are, you lose money in other sides. You can't keep data and it just flows everywhere. So yeah, no, you hit the nail right on the head right there. That's why I don't think it will happen.
Yeah, and it's going to take a revolt from the customer to do that. And that kind of goes back to my first point. Like, if everybody's making tons of money and it's a slow burn, like nobody's really going to be pushing for it. And typically, the people I know who are with some of the big players that push them for AI capabilities are all really, really small agencies, but they're not stuck in their own ways, so they kind of see it. And I know the attitude from the other end is like, this is like our 30,000th largest customer. Why do we care what he thinks?
Right.
And that's one thing that's beautiful about you guys is like, you guys listen to everybody. Like, that was the first thing that attracted me to you is like, I'm a no name less than scratch agency, and I can call Caden and say, hey, I want this feature. Okay, we'll build it. You know what I mean? Or we'll connect to that company, et cetera, et cetera. And like a good example is like when Vertafore bought Agency Zoom, that was within like a 6-month time frame of you guys launching your CRM, right?
Yep.
If you guys were one of these groups we're talking about, Agency Zoom would have been cut off. They would have seen that as the perfect opportunity to say, hey, our competitor just bought this company. We're not connecting anymore. You're forced to go to our AMS or our CRM. But you don't do that. You know what I mean?
Nope.
Yeah, no,
But the
absolutely.
exact opposite. Like, and it's
Yeah.
it's a shame. It really is. Like, there are a couple of companies that we work with that are, yes, I can understand you consider us competitors, and we are. But like, there's so much opportunity to make money together. I'm willing to tell, the customer, tell you, like, if you bring me a CRM customer, I'm not going to try to infringe on the AMS space. Let's find ways to work together, because at the end of the day, the agents benefit. And if 3, 4, 5, 10 companies can't figure out how to collaborate and make money together, it's then
Well,
shame on us.
it's why I hate when newer insurtechs immediately come out and start shitting on all the competition and all the legacy. Because in order for you to win, in order for the industry to win, you've got to work with everybody. Like, imagine a world where there's an all-in-one system. There's still going to be outside connectors. You can't serve the entire industry with one all-in-one system. Are there certain agencies that work for it? Yeah, sure. I've got buddies who run their entire agency on HubSpot, but they're agencies in a vacuum where they sell one type of client with one type of carrier and they can make it work, right? But for the far majority of the industry that wants to grow, you have to have multiple tools. And the other thing I want to say is this is like, I've been beating this drum forever. It's like multiple entry is going to be the eventual death of the independent agency, because I can call any type of other agency to get a quote and they're entering the information in one time, even if they're having to enter it in at all. And everything populates everywhere else. Whereas a lot of times we're having to go to this system and this system and this system and this system. This AI thing, especially with what you guys are doing, but just AI in general, like, has completely solved that, if you want it to be solved.
Yeah, and the things, like, there are so many like dials and levers to pull, and growth and change is not going to come from, oh, I installed and launched AI, my revenue has doubled next year. But it's going to come from a bunch of like 1% improvements, 2% improvements. And one of the things that I kind of see getting lined up, and we're seeing it with a number of agencies, but I'm not going to put you on the spot and like there's no right answer. But like, if you're an agent out there and you're listening and you're thinking about your business, or if you asked AI and said, hey, you're a business consultant, like, what's the one metric? If I only had one metric to choose to double this year, like, what would it be to like improve my business the most, right? Is it the number of phone calls? But I don't know, are you going to close them all? Is it the number of carriers, or is it, how many leads? But what if I could double your hit ratio, right? What if I could double your line items per business? What if I could automatically quote 2 additional lines? Or if I could have you now, like, very simply say, to insuranceenagency.ai, I'm a Northwest agency. Go look at my mix of carriers and my lines of business and compare me to other agencies out there where, if work comp is my leader, how am I doing compared to the 40 other insurance agency.ai agencies that have allowed me to benchmark data? And because like we have this think tank group of like awesome fucking agencies that are opted in to be part of an AI experiment. So like, it's the opposite of adverse selection, whatever that is. So I have the opposite of adverse agencies, cutting edge, working with us, sharing best practices, imagining, building data. And now it's all coming together. And Bradley, what you build tomorrow is now available to everyone else if you so choose. So you talk about like growth. We have 100 engineers on staff, but I think we're going to put 100 times the output of new product out in the next 12 months, because we now have 30, 40 companies building widgets and features for us. We have agencies that are actually the first time, like you could code your own widgets and build them and put them into our marketplace and have them live.
Yep.
I mean, Kaden, if you could just show, like, what's one thing that comes to mind that we didn't have 2 weeks ago? Like, what is live? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but what's the newest or most interesting thing that somebody showed you or did, and you're like, oh, you know what? I've been working on that, thinking about that, but now it's live. Let's start using this UI as just kind of like the orientation for this engagement, for this chat. So, hey, Kaden, what are you showing us?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that stood out to me recently, like you already said, we have this think tank group. Bradley's actually a part of it.
I think we have a call today, right?
We do have a call today, yeah. So one thing I saw recently that sort of blew my mind is they were creating skills, which we've created, we used to call them AMPs. They're like GPTs or GEMs, but to the next level. We're seeing all of these like AI, original GPTs just jump to the next level. And one thing I saw someone give it instructions to go get information beforehand. So like, go learn about this, go learn about this. And then I'm going to ask you about this, but I'm also going to give you like my SOPs. I'm going to give you these documents. So now it's not AI even now has the ability to hallucinate. You'll feel it. It's a lot. You have to go a lot further now to get it to hallucinate, but it still does. But imagine being able to focus it to certain items. And what they were doing was they were focusing it to websites to learn from, and they were focusing it to documents. And then it said, ignore the rest. And the amount of quality I saw come from that skill sort of blew my mind, because it was 1-to-1 every single time. They were asking us something, and it was always answering it the exact same way. And when we tie that in with the ability to put it in with like renewal skills, quote proposal skills, that's where it gets deadly, because we're using knowledge that never changes and we're allowing it to create data inside the AMP platform, which is, insane. And you can sort of see right here, we've improved on a ton of things because of this. I've seen agencies that want to be able to like add more items. So we just added policies yesterday. So now you can add policies instead of just typing in insureds. I can literally go to an insured, or I can go to their policy and select it. Because again, if we can focus it.
Kaden, I just want to like point out one thing, and I'm sorry, apologizing to you, and I'm apologizing to you in front of what I hope is a big audience that, like, I know I drive you crazy because I never let you finish a sentence. I'm sorry. Fireflies could tell me how many times I interrupt you, but sorry, occupational hazard. But Kaden, just because Bradley has hours of access to this already, and we're jumping right into it. But could you just explain the concept that you always talk about, and you always hear me talk about, like, we've redefined UI, like, because people used to complain, or they still do, about they don't love the now search UI, and I'll admit it's not the most cutting edge. Everything works, which is the most important, but okay, we needed a facelift, and rather than taking the old now search and just making it prettier, we've completely like scrapped the entire approach to UI, and we're taking a chance here, people. Like, some of you might not like it, but the feedback that we're getting is like, we've invented a new interface. And I think we've like come up with something revolutionary that's going to apply to multiple industries. This is just not insurance. And I've shown this to people, and we're already being approached. You have one screen. Like, you theoretically like never have to click off of this one screen, and we're bringing everything to you. And Kaden, I think it's important just to point that out.
The world is going to chat. Like, we've had this slow process where people are Googling stuff, and instead of asking their friends, now they're Googling stuff years ago. And now we've got, Chat GPT launched 3 years ago. So people are used to that. So this is just like the iteration of our culture. And I think you're definitely going to have people push back. You're always going to have people push back, but I think more people are going to like this than not, because they can just chat with their AMS and say, hey, what's this customer's phone number? What's going on with the policy?
And one of like the marketing lines that we're throwing out there, and we're going to pull it off, I'd say within 3 to 4 months, is you will 100% be able to have a fully functional agency management platform without a keyboard. Imagine that. Like, that is coming. Not telling people we're not getting rid of the chat bar, don't get me wrong, but in about 90 days, because Bradley, do you use Whisperflow? Do you use any of the
Yep.
voice? Okay.
Yep.
I don't know how many billions of people signed up. It's like one of the fastest growing companies. And if you're out there listening and you do not use Whisperflow or a similar tool, send me an email, Michael at Momentum AMP, a month after you use it, and say thank you. I know that sounds obnoxious, but I save at least an hour and a half a day now. I have an hour and a half because I don't have to type anymore. And I started now talking to different prompts, and that's how we're building AI, so you could talk to it. So we now have this one platform that Caden, if I allow him to do so, will show that like we bring everything to you. So Caden, please keep it going.
You said something, though, I want to touch on, the 100 engineers, right? I guarantee you there's some people listening to this that were thinking in that moment, he's about to say he's going to let go of 80% of his engineers. But you're not. You're going to make them more productive. And I think that's a key thing, because I've been getting a lot of reach outs from people who are agency employees, even some of my own. I had a young lady that worked for me that came in here the other day, and she said, "Are you going to replace some of us with AI?" And I said, "No, I'm going to replace functions of your job with AI so that you can be more productive." Like, we have a young lady in our office that does a specific function in the office, and we replaced that function with AI. She's still in charge of it, but she's not having to do the pecking in the keyboard task. Therefore, she can spend more time interfacing with the customers and building that relationship, which compounds that. And I think for people listening to this that are worried about being replaced, I'll tell you a quick story. Michael, you'll like this story. So I worked for a captive company for 6.5 years that was nowhere near the bleeding edge of the technology sword. They were not even on the sword, right? And so in 2015, 2016, they rolled out Guidewire. And that year it was the most expensive insurance technology project of any carrier in the world. And granted, this is a regional carrier that's only in 3 states. It's a huge project. And up until that point, anytime we wrote a homeowner's policy or any policy, we had to do a paper application. We put it in a piece of mail that was called a home office pack. We mailed it to the home office. That application made its way on an underwriter's desk, and it was manually underwritten. So the main thing Guidewire was going to solve was that process, right? It was going to take that away, and things are going to be issued quickly. What the underwriters started doing, that were the C&D players, is they started intentionally moving slower on applications. That way they had a bunch of stuff on their desk, so that they had this like warped view that, oh, management will think I'm more valuable because I'm so busy. And that's the opposite of what you should do if you're worried about AI replacing you. You should show how you can be more productive with this, therefore, in turn, make yourself more replaceable. And like this talk I'm giving in Arkansas, it's actually CSRs. It's not agency owners. And my whole pitch to them is I'm going to show them how we're doing AI, knowing they can't themselves implement a lot of this. But you need to go back to your agency owners and saying, hey, I discovered this thing that can save me 80% of my time so I can be more productive for you. We need to do this.
So I'm sitting here like firing off notes to myself, to how to respond, to that comment, because, this in itself is a multiple hour conversation. I do believe, I know, because I'm super passionate about it, but I'll share a couple of things that we've got going on in our world as it pertains to jobs, right? And functions and roles. And, so here's what Peter and I said to our CTO. As far as the 100 engineers are concerned, we said, Karam, you have a choice. I need to see one of 2 results. I need to see either an 80% reduction in the workforce, and you need to go from 100 engineers to 20, or I need to see a 5x return in output. Nobody's on the chopping block. Nobody has to be. Here are the tools. Any employee of ours, like we give courses. I have can't tell you how many thousands of dollars I spent last month on AI teachers teaching my employees. Any employee of ours that wants to learn AI and pay for a course, I'll pay for it. I'll tell you what I do at night. I'm again, maybe I should be embarrassed about the amount of TikTok that I watch, but I spend hours on TikTok every night. Most of it is AI related. And if somebody gets up and gives me, has a 30-second clip about something AI that's smart, and I click into their followers and they have under 2,000 followers on TikTok, it means they're not, they haven't hit prime time yet. They don't have a huge following. And I have a canned message. I write, hey, I'm a partner in Momentum AMP. We're trying to revolutionize the insurance agency industry. I see you're at the cutting edge of AI. If you want to be a part of this community, please reach out to me. And I send it out about 4 or 5 times a night. And we now, some of the best things that we have in insuranceragency.ai and in Momentum are from some of these freelancers that we found because we have this framework that they could easily plug into, and they're building content. So now let's go to the insurance agent. There are going to be people that are employed today in the insurance industry where that AI is going to replace what they do. I like how you framed it, that like we're not replacing jobs, we're replacing functions. And that's 100% going to change. Now, an agency owner is different, but one of the things that, it's not the sexiest part of what Momentum is and what insurance agency, but we're a community, right? We have scores of third-party companies that are fully integrated with us. And if you're an agency and you come to us and say, hey, I use such and such a company to do my my posting or my portal, like, would you work with them? I'm like, sure, bring them, have them, connect them, set them up, and they could be live in a month. But for the CSRs, if they're listening to you and they're AI forward, and you have a CSR that builds a workflow, let them come publish it on insuranceragency.ai and make money. Like, if you go out and build a game, like the guy who built Candy Crush is a very rich person. They didn't own Apple. They didn't own the distribution. They were part of a community. We have our first cohort of our CIP, our Certified Integration Partner Program. Caden, Steve Anderson, Alex on our team. We have 5 integration companies that are becoming certified on how to connect agents to third-party partners on our platform. But we have, Caden, like 50, 60 insurtechs that are on this kind of waiting list. We're doing it right now. We're just doing it like a small batch just to test it out. But we have this like army of third-party contributors that want to connect via MCP or build agents, skills, widgets. So, hey, Caden, click into the marketplace for a minute. I know like we didn't even give you a chance to, but like click into this marketplace.
We keep going on tangents, and Caden can't do what he's trying to show us.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
You're good. And I mean, I could even add to the CIP. I mean, the exciting thing about the CIP and sort of how we pitched it was initially it was like, you build yours, maybe you'll build other people's. And then through conversations, we're like, well, if this is an open ecosystem, you could technically build your integration. And then other companies come to you to integrate yours, and you could also integrate it with us. I mean, can you imagine how fast that would just explode if you're able to not, like, you're essentially connecting all the dots. You have the keys to anything you want to connect to. It's pretty insane.
Well, and that's the biggest thing that I think has slowed InsurTech down up until this point is there would be some cool InsurTech, right? And you would buy it to solve a problem, but it would create what I call a whack-a-mole problem where you solve this problem, but now this other one popped up over here
100%.
because people don't necessarily talk to each other. Well, now that's out the window. So I think everything we've seen in InsurTech, it's been very slow, is about to accelerate a ton.
Yeah.
100%.
So, Caden, what's one example of something that you've done with Bradley? Like, what's something that Bradley? I mean, you asked for. What was it? It had to do with, I think, Accord forms. What was the ask that you submitted to Caden? It was like something you texted me like on your wish list.
It was basically the ability to upload policies and have them go into the system for carriers that don't download, which is a freaking huge one.
Yeah, because you saw the commission statement, right? Where we were taking it, we were putting it into the XML, which we were treating it as if it was a download, a direct bill download, right. Because then we had every step after. And then you had the smart idea to basically take the documents and then convert it to an AL3 and put it in, because the same effect. We had all of the merging, everything. So we have actually started that. We have a working prototype of that. And we also have improved our because we've actually been looking at the JSONs of what data comes from the extraction, which is going to make importing the items so much easier, because then we're importing like sections rather than trying to import the whole item. Yeah, it's so exciting. Yeah, I mean,
when Caden showed me that, so probably 60 to 70% of our carriers don't download, and probably 50% of the ones that do download don't download commissions because they have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to a certain company to get that to be downloaded. And so I have a bookkeeping company that their main job is to reconcile commissions for me. And basically my assistant collects all the commission statements up every month. She has a checklist, and then she sends them to the accounting company, and they charge me hourly, and they just literally have a human. I'm sure they're using AI to some degree to structure the data, but they're essentially just manually reconciling those.
Mm-hmm.
And Caden showed me this, where you can just upload a commission statement, regardless of the format. It pushes it in as an XML or an AL3. I can't remember which one, and it's done. And I called my accounting company, and I'm like, look, and admittedly, they haven't started using it yet. I think they're starting May 1st. I'm like, look, I don't know how much you're charging me hourly to do this, but I bet it's more than 25 cents, which is what I want you to use this now.
Yeah, no, it's insane. And that's just due to feedback. I mean, I remember when Peter sort of came up with this idea, it was from just feedback from an agency, sort of like everything else we do. Is pretty crazy.
Well, it's crazy that I love there's really, really good people at Ivans. I love Ivans, but man, we've got to get more innovative with the way that data gets into our systems, and they know that. I've had that conversation with them.
Yeah, they know that.
I think that's one of those things, and you take the companies like Canopy Connect and Adapt API. Both the CEOs who I know personally, and both who are visionaries and ahead of the curve. And I said it often, like a year ago, 2 years ago, somebody asked me well, if you could pick any insurtech company, who would you invest in? And Canopy Connect was one of my answers. But and I haven't spoken to them recently and how they're adapting to AI, which I'm sure they are, because Tolga's he's amazing. But what's the existential impact to AI, where I can now go into OpenClaw and say, hey, log into my Hartford portal and scrape every piece of data, and I could have it formatted in a minute. So I'm curious to see how those companies adapt. Now, we're integrated with a number of them because I don't want to have to do the work, because they've already done the work, and I'd love to use their integration. But I'm sure a lot of our customers, somebody could go in right now to Momentum Claw and say, go to my carrier portal and start scraping it, and it'll do it. There is no regulator on this. That's why we want agents who are going to a little caveat emptor, buyer beware, no lifeguard on duty. That's why we're doing this in a controlled fashion. Trust me, I would have loved to have just released this on April 1st to anyone who comes and joins. I think we would have had 5,000 agencies sign up on the first.
You definitely have to be careful. There's a rumor going out around now that there was an agent that Progressive pulled their contract because they did 1,000 quotes in 20 minutes with some AI tool. And you can't be reckless, right? Just like with VAs, right? You can't be reckless. You have to spot check, right? But it's interesting with.
So there's a rumor. Do you know who this happened to, or you just heard a rumor?
It was just a rumor. It's just
okay. So let's put this out. Let's put this out to the universe.
Yeah. We can edit it out if you want to.
Actually, I want to go the opposite.
The person who told me knew the person. So.
Okay. So
I'd love to interview him on the podcast.
Yes, that's where I was going to go.
Though, because I've seen some, I'm more of a not cynical when it comes to AI, but more cautious. I've seen some things in this industry already that's, it's giving the power to so many people that don't understand the complexities of a back end of a system, right? And you can go in and you could tell these AIs to create this quoting platform that does all this stuff behind the scenes, but there's so much there. There's so many vulnerabilities. Like I could
Well,
definitely
and
see.
that's where I think doing it through you guys, where you have that layer there of, hey, we're momentum, we're an insurtech versus just building it on your own. And that's where there's this discussion now of like buy versus build, right? And my attitude towards that is I don't replace any tools with stuff that I build. I build add-ons. I build stuff that make my life easier, not replace things that are already there. I let the companies that I've chosen to handle those functions. Like there's people out there talking about building their own AMS with Claude. Like don't do that, right? Build a function that can add on and layer onto your AMS. Sure, all day long, right? But it's interesting too, some of the fodder out there. Like I always tell people, like, be careful who you listen to and who you take your advice from. There's some fodder out there about people that are very negative on AI, right? And all they're sharing are horror stories, et cetera, et cetera. If you peel back the layers of the onion, you don't even really have to peel back but one layer. It's like, oh, this person owns a SaaS company that's very threatened by AI, right? Like there's always a reason, you know what I mean?
Or they're
And it's
just,
hilarious. When you can see it, it's hilarious. It's
yeah.
like, oh, like, they don't like this because somebody could replicate what they do pretty easily.
Well, I just ran into this the other day, but it was an agency that I was helping, and super nice people, but they were just afraid of AI because they got, the horror stories, the idea that something bad can happen. But then they were showing me how they had a tool for document extraction that could import into their another system, a CRM they use. And I was like, just so you guys know, This is AI. Like I'm letting you know, just because it doesn't look like a chat, it's still AI. And it like blew their mind because it was like, they were like, this is what increased our workflow, 10x. I'm like, yeah, it's still AI. It was pretty funny.
Yeah. But I'll tell you a funny story. So when I was captive, I had a customer who had a life insurance policy with me that lived in another state. They bought it and moved to like Arizona, and they needed to do a beneficiary change. So I DocuSigned them the beneficiary change, and it got declined because you could not send life insurance. This company would not allow you to send life insurance documents via DocuSign. And I said, okay, what do you consider the alternative being? They're like, just send it to them in the mail. I'm like, wait a minute. Like this service that shows like the IP address and the timestamp and the email and the two-factor authentication that verifies this is this person. But you're going to let me send it in the mail and I have no idea who signs it. And I went on this like crusade for like 6 months fighting this. Like almost like, I don't know if you guys watch King of the Hill, but almost like Hank Hill and King of the Hill when they wouldn't let him have his toilet. He got on the city council and then he resigned. Like I was like on this, and now at that company, people can get life insurance documents signed through DocuSign because I just was a hardhead. But it's like people will trade privacy for convenience in a heartbeat. Like I was very skeptical of putting stuff in ChatGPT. Now Claude is like so functional, I don't even give a shit. I'm like, if something happens.
I've completely leaned into it to the point where I'm also about to give Momentum Claw $1,000 prepaid Visa card to go start making money performing certain functions. And I literally just gave it the idea, gave it the code, it built the website. I mean, it's crazy. One last thought I want to think about. One of again the marketing themes of what we're providing is we're creating your digital twin and we're hosting it and managing it for you. So I learned yesterday about AI and they have soul MD files. You guys hear about this? You know about this?
Mm-hmm.
Where the OpenClaw has a soul, right? It's a consciousness, and there are files that are go towards the soul. There are dream files. It's actually fascinating. Where what we originally started calling a RAG, your kind of memory as a service that we're going to host, where it's now also your second brain, your clone. So Caden, maybe Bradley, if he wants, and I'm doing this myself, where, for example, my AI is on every Fireflies call that I have. It has every meeting transcript that I've had for the past year. And after uploading it, a minute later, I said, I want you to tell me the 10 most interesting things about myself as an executive and help me improve. And the feedback he gave me was spot on because it listened to hundreds of hours of my calls. Now, we're going to be able to power insuranceagency.ai to listen to your calls with your employees, with your customers, save them. Now, not everybody's going to want to share that data with us, but we have, our data shows us that like 20 to 30% minimum are going to. And we will create a Bradley Flowers brain that will answer questions like you would, know how you would answer them. Now, you could choose to, I want to have my messages in draft form before I want to hit the send button, and those are things, but we are part of what we're building. We're not just giving AI, we're kind of like wrapping this up in a bow for you and saying, we're going to future proof this for you. So when the next hot best thing comes in, like we could easily plug into it. We're going to keep all your rules. We're going to maintain all your SOPs. We're going to have it perform these functions in Accord. Yeah, but it's also going to be able to think like you and have your memory and be able to constantly listen to every call and say, well, you know, WWBD, like what would Bradley do if he were in this situation? You could be flagged in real time. Anyway, Bradley, if that's interesting to you, I'd love you to participate in that. But I want to recognize we're already into the 5 minutes past. Again, funny way to start the meeting. So again, Bradley, I'll put you on the spot and let you end it. You could end the podcast too.
Guys, I think that, and I've already said this once, but I think that you guys with this and where it's going to go drew the line in the sand for other agency management systems. And if you're listening to this and you're not on momentum, you're probably going to be behind very soon.
Can't ask for a better person with a better message. Bradley, thank you. I know this is an overused term, but genuinely, we appreciate you. We do. I remember when I first heard, Bradley Flowers uses momentum. Like, that's a good one. And we do appreciate you, and we're excited to keep you abreast and your audience abreast and our users completely aware and arm them and weaponize them, for this revolution that we're hoping to facilitate.
All right. Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah,
thank you
so much.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Insurance Technology Amplified. Be sure to stay connected and up to date by following Momentum AMP on all social networks. For show notes, resources, and details on upcoming episodes, visit our podcast page at momentumamp.com/podcast. We look forward to having you join us next time. Take care and see you soon.